to a very special episode of the Roehampton video... No, I'll start that again. That's not what we're called. Welcome to a very special episode of the Roehampton Players video podcast. This is... I mean, we've only had one episode. We're already diverging from our weekly schedule because this is going to come out... You're going to have 2 episodes this week. This is a very special one because I have the great pleasure of having the 2 directors behind Backstage, the upcoming show.
Oh my
the
God.
next show in Players.
Oh my God.
We'll probably say this is going to come up on the screen. The 10th, 11th and 12th of February. So that's going to come up anytime we mention the dates.
Yeah.
Sorry, future Stephen.
Well, just the word 10th. Just 10th, 11th, 12th, 10th, 11th, 12th. February. It'll just be February.
Oh man, that's going to be so bad on the edit. So yeah, I'm going to let you two for the next, 20 or so minutes really plug your show because this is the next show. So anyone who hasn't heard anything about it will want to find out some details because it is a pretty special one.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because you always hear all the great shows of I remember my first year was Forbidden Planet, Attempts. We still hear stuff about that today. All the the big player shows. So it's such a privilege to be one of them, and it's great. It's great
absolutely.
To be here, yeah.
So we'll let you plug that, and then we'll talk about how directing has been because you've been in rehearsals for what 2 months now.
Yeah.
So
3 almost. Well, I guess Christmas. Yeah, we kind of lost December.
No, that's
because I
true.
was selfish and I went home. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah. So we'll reflect on how your experience in directing, and that is something that will come up in the Thursday episode because that is a directing episode. So stay tuned.
Nice.
There's 2 episodes, like I said, this week. This one will be airing. Well, for us it'll be tomorrow, but for you, whenever it uploads. So yes, before I introduce you to formally, we have a sponsor this episode.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we have. Yes. We are,
I watched the last podcast and the sponsor was great. Go support them.
We have a completely new sponsor, completely new company. So this episode is brought to you by that feeling you get in the back of your mind when you leave the house that something isn't right. That sense of dread can easily be suppressed with a course of medicine/baguette designed with your lifestyle in mind to leave you with more time for you. Join our 12-month subscription now with a link in the description and use the code HELPME and get your first box of tablet/bakery product completely free, so long as you don't mind the smell of burnt raven feathers. Dread. Is something out there? Thank you very much to Dread for sponsoring this week's episode.
Wow.
You can use the code that I'll leave in the description to not claim whatever the hell they're selling. I will be buying it.
It's
Thanks for the money.
It's weird that that's getting put as our sponsor for the show. It seems like a really bleak outlook on the show. I promise the show's not shit. It's really good. You don't need to dread the show, but really do buy some Dread. It'll be good, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a Rasta product.
It could be. No,
Dread, yeah.
I mean, it's got... Yeah.
New flavour tablets.
Oh my goodness. Added spice. Yeah. So, without further ado, I need to introduce you two. So if we go around the room, say your name, what you study, and, well, obviously we know your role, but yeah. Say that as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Kick it off.
Alright, so I'm Aimee. You met me last week. I'm the events officer, and I'm also the assistant director of Backstage. Big up. So, in a lot of creative teams, there's usually 3 or 4, and obviously in Backstage there's only me and Rohit. So there's a lot of stuff for us to do.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm assistant director / producer / making sure Rohit does what he should.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right. I'm Rohit Sujanani. Obviously, this is my first stint on the podcast. Hopefully, I get more. We'll see how today goes.
Yeah, it's trial shift, isn't it?
I'm so excited to be here. You don't understand. I was such a fan of the first one. But yeah, so I wrote Backstage over the last 5 months before we started rehearsals in November. So I wrote the show, and I'm also directing it. And it's been really cool so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to audition and judge people silently. No, it's been really cool. It's been nice to have I think a lot of creative people have this, and when they write stuff and they, write scripts or write songs or write stories, they never get it actually produced or have it actually become something. So honestly, this whole process from making the video to promote it and to big it up till now, it's been such a huge privilege and such a huge blessing. So big up the players for letting me be here.
I think that's a really good thing about the Players, the fact that we have, okay, we do the musical that isn't necessarily ours, but you know, the other shows that we put throughout the year, they can be anyone's. You could come forward and, you know, if it gets voted the year before, then it gets put on. And I think that's a really good platform to bring, like, your original creations to the stage.
Yeah, it was weird
For free, basically.
Yeah. I didn't even think Backstage was gonna get picked. Like I was like, okay, if it gets picked, it gets picked. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then it got picked, and it was just the most wonderful, mad feeling ever. So, yeah.
I'm excited.
It's so great because there's not many times that you've got like a theatre, you've got lights, you've got all the equipment you need. So that's why while you're at uni, you need to utilise that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you said, I think it's such a good thing to put anything you've got on.
Sorry, I just had a bit of dread. Sorry.
By dread.
Help me.
Yes. I should probably introduce myself as well. I'm Stephen, third year primary ed student / combined studies. I am the treasurer for players, and I also sort of show run this.
He's like our Joe Rogan.
I guess so, except I don't fight anyone.
And we won't smoke dope on the podcast.
No.
Not yet, anyway.
Not until we start selling out.
Yeah.
I've also had the privilege of being safe space officer for this, so you know, whilst I'm not casting it or part of the crew, I've been able to watch it, you know, come together in rehearsals. I've sort of stuck my head in from time to time.
And what do you think of it so far?
I'm really excited. And we'll get on to talking about this when I ask you to, you know, summarise and go into detail with Backstage, but it's such a different show than what we've put on this year, and I think I'd argue that it's quite different to anything we've put on in the last 3 years. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for you to plug it. So, you know, without further ado, we've been teasing it, talking about it.
Yeah.
But let's imagine for a second that I'm not a player. I'm like some fresher who has seen the posters go up. They are up, right? Yeah, posters are up. They see the poster and they're like, oh, what's Backstage? That sounds interesting. So, how would you describe it to someone who knows nothing about this show?
First of all, go watch it. Second of all, okay, so I guess the show, the way to describe it is basically you're watching real life happen on stage. You don't get a lot of plays where it sort of takes this thing of like film, where you hear background noises and you hear just sort of everything. It's sort of like, hard to say, like, we had it in our first year about like creating sounds like all around the room and creating this sort of atmosphere. So that's really what I was trying to go for with when I was writing it, and sort of create this work environment. I always tell the cast, like, always be aware of like that this is a work environment, so you can talk while the scene's going on, and it's sort of like watching life itself sort of unfold. And basically, I thought as a theatre student, I want to watch that work environment of a theatre show go down. So that's mainly what the play is. So
it's a show that's...
It's a show about creating a show.
Yeah.
Essentially. I feel like so much theatre now has devolved into meta work, and that's kind of what I followed here. Just it's sort of theatre reflecting on theatre to tell audiences what they should expect from theatre.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so naturalistic.
Yeah.
Which is different from anything that I've ever done before. So I've always been involved in musical theatre, which is very over the top. Whereas I've come into this, and Rohit's direction is very everyone, like, that we don't want anyone over the top. This has to be real life.
Yeah.
You know? So that was hard for me to get into, but I mean it's taught me a lot, and now I can see like the beauty of naturalistic theatre. And I think it's been a challenge for our actors as well, because a lot of them come from musical theatre backgrounds, and they're trying to do over the top, and we're saying just tone it down.
Yeah. And comedy comes from wherever, like there's so many times like you watch a Vine compilation of a kid stacking it off some playground thing, and that's real. That's something you laugh at because it's funny. Like, and even like, I don't know, I was watching when we watch the run-throughs and stuff, you don't really realise how funny these moments are.
Yeah, when I read the script, I was like, this is great, but I don't know where the comedy's going to come from. And then watching it, there's moments where you don't even realise comedy's going to come. And it's there. So that's really nice.
That's the art of it, I suppose.
So it's not like your run-of-the-mill naturalistic play. It won't be set in the 1800s. And it's also funny. So you won't be sitting there falling asleep.
It's modern, it's up-to-date, it's funny, and it's just different. Like, people that have been in Jubilee Theatre, as I said before, we usually have a backstage, whereas in this we don't have a backstage at all. So all the actors are on stage the whole time. They don't go off stage, they're on, we see them the whole time. So that's going to be a challenge for them to be on stage for the whole, whatever it is, 2 hours and a bit.
Yeah, and even if they do go off stage, they're still performing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there'll be moments where people leave the stage but you can still hear them. Yeah. There's still this performative element of, I feel like in life you're always performing, so I kind of just wanted to bring that element.
I think that's really interesting because you know, the only shows I've really been involved in have been, you know, musicals, shows with music in them, and there's a lot of downtime backstage, and so suddenly you've got this show that you've put on where there's no chance for a break for these actors, and I think that's going to be, whilst the movements are more, as you say, more realistic, it's not emphasised for comedy.
I think that's just the ironicness of the title. Like, it's so ironic that we've called the show Backstage, but there isn't one.
Yeah.
I quite like that. Yeah. So it's it's a challenge. So whilst the actions aren't as over the top, the fact that it's a sort of case of stamina almost, that they have to be in character for just over 2 hours.
And the audience are going to feel immersed because we have obviously the whole room is going to be involved. And the actors are going to be walking around. It's not kind of like a stage audience. It's behind the.
Of course, yeah.
So it's going to be nice for the audience.
It's as if the sort of theatre was empty and everything was being set up. That's why you're watching a rehearsal process. It's not if you're rehearsing for a show, you're in an empty sort of stage. You're not gonna not acknowledge the seats because they're audience members. You know what I mean? So
I quite like that because normally especially with I'm drawing on Judgment Day just because that's the most recent one for me, but like we had that audience interaction where the cast sometimes got very close to breaking the fourth wall and interacting with the audience. And I think this whole standpoint where you have almost like a fly on the wall perspective where the audience are there, they're right in it because hey, the stage is in the entire room, but they're almost not part of it. They're almost, like I say, a fly on the wall, spectating it, like going on around them. And I think that's really interesting.
It's weird because we don't break the fourth wall, but it's kind of like transparent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to give it away, but there are moments where like the audience is a little bit involved and they sort of watch the play, like you say, fly on the wall. So I don't know. We definitely tiptoe the line, and it's definitely not going to be a run of the. It's a naturalistic play, but it's not your run of the mill one where it's all going to be. You're not going to just be watching and getting bored a little bit. It's definitely a bit subverting that tone, I guess.
So you said it's a naturalistic play. Where does the story go? So I'm still imagining that I don't know anything about it. What do you want to like?
Yeah. So we have like a new director who is got his cast, and it's just about the different techniques he uses to try and get the best out of them. We have a lead who is a big name, so you'll see the dynamics between actors
who are new and experienced, and
and it's just about go on.
And it's also sort of like, I feel like as theatre students you kind of see where stuff you learn about yourself in auditions and stuff you learn about yourself in class and stuff like that get taken into your real life, and you just kind of see and watch how these characters change over their rehearsal process and how they change over time, and it's just, I don't know, I feel like you guys have probably been in shows where that show has kind of just changed your life, hasn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, of course. So it's kind of like that, like, the experienced actor, the new actor, the new director, the whole team sort of changes, and in most narrative structures you want your character to change, but in this way, like, they all just change because of the rehearsal process, like anyone would. So I'm really trying to go for this idea of like, these are real people.
Another thing, I think another great thing is that there's no like, how do I put this, there's no like conclusion. Obviously I'm not going to give it away, but there's not like a big end where it's like, this is our show, like you don't see a finished product, and I think that really gives the audience something to like take away and learn. So like when I watch the run and I see the end of it, it's like the audience will take what they want from that, which I think is a really nice element to have.
Nice.
Yeah, by the way, we haven't seen our second act run too. We're doing that today. But exactly, it's like an unfinished product, and I can't wait to see when they've done a whole act together, and especially getting to that end point, how they're going to leave it open. I can't wait to see what I feel in that moment.
I think like the last 3 lines are my favourite.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it leaves the audience like wondering, and I think that's what I love from theatre, so that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to be there tonight, because obviously, you know, we're still in the rehearsal process, although albeit, you know, the final weeks of rehearsal, so I haven't actually seen the forerun of the Act 2, so I'm really excited to see
Neither
it.
have we.
Yeah, no, so I'll be in the room, like, having a look.
I think another great thing is that 60% of our cast are new people.
Oh yeah.
Whether that be freshers or people that have never been involved in players, which is really nice, and it's also different. So the people that have been in players before, it's a whole different challenge. So I think that is really nice. It's brought kind of different, like a different atmosphere, different energies.
I feel like it's all been a challenge for all of us. Like, I've never directed before, so this has been such a new, you know, experience for me. So although it's in the realms of stuff that I'm interested in, and obviously because I wrote the play, it's easy for me to sort of get with the ideologies of it. It's been really hard to sort of direct, and I feel like I'm good at taking notes, but I'm hard at giving them. So I've been like, okay, disagree. I'm actually really good at giving notes. I just give, but then it's like giving the right notes and giving the right feedback and giving the right things to sort of motivate your cast and stuff like that. I don't think it's been easy for anyone, and I like that it's just been a challenge, literally across the board. So it's been great.
Yeah, no, I think a challenge is always good, because if it's like a bit of a breeze, then no one gets passionate about it. Like if it's so easy, you're just like, I'll put it off. I'll do it later. But the fact it's been like such, I think it's good that it's a challenge in all areas, because it, you know, inspires people to work on it. So you said it's a director coming in with a new cast, big name. Cast members, it's the whole dynamic. What are they actually doing in the show? What
so they're preparing for a show that someone's written called A Modern Macbeth, and it's basically a modern take on Macbeth. So the whole show is littered with Macbeth references, which is my favourite Shakespeare play.
Is that why you had...
Yeah, and also I just thought it was a good sort of analogy for some of our characters.
I was always quite intrigued as to why you chose, not as a bad thing, but I was just wondering why you picked Macbeth as the show that the show depicts being put on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
because there's a lot of like stigma with the... First of all, you're not supposed to say Macbeth in the theatre if you're not doing Macbeth.
That's alright, we're not in a theatre.
Yeah, no, now we're fine. We're good.
We can say it as much as we want.
You know, Dread. Drink Dread, help me. But the thing with that is, so there's a lot of stigma around that, and also I just found like it's one of my favourite ones, up there with Hamlet. Those are my 2 favourites Shakespeare ones, and I've always wanted to do Macbeth myself, so this was a good way of doing it. And also just thematically, it all just kind of worked. And when I was writing the play, it kind of took really, like, there was early stages of it where it was actually a modern Macbeth. It was actually the play that was gonna, you know, it was actually the play.
Oh, okay, so the adaptation that
it was the adaptation.
Is seeing as cast members putting on as crew, that show was going to be
the play, but and I had worked on it for 6 months and it wasn't going anywhere. I hadn't put pen to paper and it wasn't going anywhere. But then I realised, I kind of found my interest, and I kind of found where this play could go, and I found where the themes worked, and it all sort of came together as Backstage. And that analogy and those themes from there all kind of worked in. So it's really easy to give my cast members something to look at and something to say, here's what I'm looking for. And I think it's a nice jumping point.
I'm going to use that as a trampoline into the next sort of topic that I wanted to talk with you. So you talked about the story. You've done a pretty good job of plugging it. I'm pretty excited myself, and I've been involved but barely, so I'm going to come and watch it. So you should too. But you mentioned briefly back then that, you know, this was both of your first stints in directing. So how's that been? You know.
Yeah, really good. A challenge. Don't really realise the responsibilities of someone on the other side.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, like everything. As I said before, like it's only 2 of us. There's usually like 4 in a committee, so we've got kind of double the tasks. But
and Stephen, to be fair.
Stephen's helped us loads, but you know what I mean, like the...
And big up Gina as well, and the rest of the committee for actually really helping us a lot. I mean, not to say that we haven't, I just mean like, they are the committee, so thanks for all the help so far.
Yeah, we just make sure we keep an eye. We absolutely trusted you. We had absolute trust in you, but we were just keeping an eye. You know, helping you out if you needed it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's sometimes you have to strike the right balance between, obviously, we are like peers of all the people in the cast, but also to take on the kind of authoritative role. So yeah, you have to strike the right balance. But no, I think we've done well in that part. Yeah,
definitely. Because I think this is you know, if we take myself out of the hypothetical situation, I know nothing about the play. I now know things about the play because I've been in the room. But like, you know, there's a lot of that script that is improvisation. I think that's really interesting because you have, you know, a straight show, but there are sections, like I said, that are improvisation. Like, how did you, like, sort of shape that sort of directing model? Like,
well, it all started in our auditions. So when we did auditions, we had basically what the scene was, because a lot of it is rehearsal techniques. A lot of the scenes are rehearsals and exercises put into the scenes. And that kind of worked and we put all of that into our auditions. And sort of that helped us judge who we were going to pick in the first place through those improvisations and through that, you know, how they bounce off each other, and a lot of it comes from them. And yeah. Sorry, I've kind of diverted from the question. So, but I guess in terms of directing improv, you can't really. That's why we put in auditions, because that's how you know who works well with it. And I'm sure you guys have seen Jack say really offensive things on this podcast.
Wow.
Censored.
It's all been bleeped out. Yeah,
censored offensive things.
Try to filter it.
Yeah, but you know what? It's live theatre now, unfiltered, so if you want to come see Jack...
Yeah. Who knows what he's going to say?
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, who knows? Because there's one part in the show where he said that he's going to do a different thing every line.
Yeah.
Right? So like, there's this line that we said to him, you've got control over this, because we want it to be like naturally funny.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, well maybe every night I'll do something different. So I mean, that's a little bit of a worry, but I'm excited for it.
So I'm not saying you come to all 4 shows, but
if you want to, do it.
Is it 4 shows, 3 shows?
4. Yeah,
it's 4. There's 2 on the first.
There's 2 on Sunday. Yeah, I just went 4. What?
So I mean, we're going to be surprised. I'm going to be doing the lights and might forget my cues because Jack might shock me what he says, but we'll see.
Yeah. I can't wait to just sit in the audience and watch them every night and cry. Because actually, to be honest, at the end of Act 1, just on directing, like, I watched this trailer of Quentin Tarantino. Who was it? Someone's doing a masterclass in directing.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen.
And he was talking about like when you read your first draft and do the read through, you want to throw up because it's just so bad, and like it's not what you wrote at all. But then when you direct it, like it should bring you to tears. And by the end of our Act 1 run through before the end of Christmas, I was almost there.
Yeah, I was so happy when I saw it.
I didn't let any of the cast members know, and then I put a really soppy post on Facebook about it. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of directing, I like to see the process and how people have changed working through this play. Yeah, and I think it's also quite mirrored to how the actual play is going.
Yeah.
I mean, like the actual synopsis of the play, so it's nice to see people change and their characters, and it just all kind of works together as well.
I think that's really good. Now, you mentioned that you are doing the lights in the show. Do you want to talk a bit more about that? What's going on?
She's her own character. It's great. Yeah. You're kind of acting in it, to be honest.
I am. I'm part of it. Well, I've never done lights before. It's going to be a nice challenge. But yeah, I think I always wanted to do it, so because I know what's happening, and we didn't want to get someone external in and teach them. I know what's happening, and yeah, as I said, it's going to be like immersive. So there's part of the script in the script where the actors will directly talk to me. You know, like lights up, lights down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be there ready to do it.
That's really good. Yeah. So have you got like so obviously you're going to be using like the stage lights, I imagine, and the 2 LEDs at the back.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got 1 big spotlight.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's like a huge thing, and then we've got like proper stage lights in Act 2 pointing at the actual staging that we use for our play.
So is the back of the room going to be okay as well? Like,
no, the back of the room is going to be a set light fixture.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what you see is what you see.
Because I imagine
And-
you're going to be at the lighting desk at the entrance of
Yes.
Jubilee 1, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Jubilee 2, sorry,
Yeah.
the big one, yeah.
Yes,
Because it would have been hard to set up
I was going to say.
both rigs. Because I was talking to Micah about it yesterday. A big up Micah, tech guy.
Tappy Micah.
God. Tech God.
Yeah, no, he's...
Yeah, he was saying that it would be hard to rig two light things.
I agree.
And I don't think
Or
we
the-
need to. I think the beauty of it is that the backstage is the backstage.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
it's so literal. Like, there's nothing you really need to
No.
change about it.
And yeah, I mean, the lights aren't going to be like magical like shows because once again, it's naturalistic. This is a rehearsal process.
yeah, it's
So
real.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just to kind of highlight a few of the scenes.
I've got to say, as the treasurer, you two have been an absolute dream to work with because you've spent so little of your
Oh,
show
yeah.
budget.
Do we get to
Like-
keep all our dread money then? All our sponsor money to keep
That's
give
going
Sky
in the
Sharma.
bank.
Oh yeah, also we are promoting Sky Sharma mental health. Big thing for me when writing this play as well was I kind of wanted to help mental health organizations, and I realized Sky Sharma was well. Actually, I spoke to Gina and she sort of said Sky Sharma was the best one to sort of fuel. And I really well when writing the play and looking at these characters, I kind of wanted like they're all kind of based not based on real people but based on real people. They are real people, so I kind of some of them do have deficiencies and some of them do have these problems, and I realize that some of them I have the similar problems as them, so I wanted to sort of support this foundation that sort of helps make mental health illnesses aware. And
I think that's really good.
Yeah, I think it's good that they did help with my research, but I think it's good to let these things be known. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and also these characters, they don't really explicitly mention it, but they bear references to it, and a lot of their problems come from that, so
Yeah.
that's why I thought it was good to at least give. And also I just like charity. I feel like I don't do enough, so this is my
Yeah.
penance.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think that's a really really good thing. And I think it aids to the simplicity of the thing that you don't have mad props. You don't have like a giant car that we've hired to come in. We don't have like turntables
Yeah.
or fire or anything. It's very raw and real, and I think that's the really good thing about Backstage. So I'm really
It's a
excited to
rehearsal
see it.
process. You never turn on those things in a rehearsal. You say, "Oh, that would go on at that time," and
Yeah.
you don't really need it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, those are all the questions I wanted to ask. I think you've done a fantastic job plugging the show. Rohit, what are the dates for the show again?
The show dates are the 10th. We've got 2 show dates.
2 shows on that day.
10th, yeah.
Yeah.
10th, and then we got the 11th of Feb. 11th. That's a Monday. Monday, 11th. And then we got the Tuesday, 12th. 1-2, big 1-2, 12. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's it, right?
show dates, nice. We've got them. They are, as of today, available online, so you can start plugging them.
Is it today?
It is, yeah. I
Oh,
set it up for you.
Yeah, sick.
So you
Cool.
can go on.
Student,
It is £5.
student,
If you are a
non-student.
parent, it is £7. But you can find the links on the RSU page. I will be setting up the page. So
It'll also be in the
um,
comments, right? In the comments
it'll
down
be,
below.
yeah, it'll be
they'll put
links
a
down
link.
in the bio. It'll also very exciting for you guys. Not only will it be on like the little calendar the RSU has, but I'm sending a picture off to the RSU, and you know the TVs in the union. Backstage is going to be on that.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah. It's gonna
No
be on.
way!
Yeah.
Did you know about this?
No.
I didn't know that. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm
oh my
serious.
god.
So I'm sending that off. That's going to
Mad.
be. We're contacting the media people from RSU, and they're going to sort that out for you. So you will see more of Backstage around campus
Yeah.
before show day. Hope
your
to see you
tickets.
there. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Is there anything you would like to plug? It doesn't have to be Backstage. Would you?
First of all, I just want to finish Backstage. Please do come see the show. It's a lot of work that a lot of the cast and a lot of the crew have put in. Everyone's sort of given their own time to sort of make the show something, and it's been a personal dream of mine. If I could pay them, I would, but I can't.
Don't have the
it's-
money for it. I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
so instead I'm paying Sky Sharma, and I want to give that money, and I think it's really a good opportunity to give back to them. I really do hope a lot of you will come down and watch the show. And
No,
I didn't
really
even
good.
know what was going on in the TVs in the bar, so that's great.
Yeah. Any plug?
No?
Plug
No.
yourself. Okay, I'm gonna plug myself. Go
on
to
then.
youtube.com/ there's a long URL. But basically it's Road Stuff and Things. I think there'll be a link in the
Yep.
or something. Basically, it's my own personal YouTube channel. It really means a lot to me if a lot of you could subscribe to it because it's kind of my thing I'm doing after uni and I need the ad revenue after
Need
it.
to sell out.
Gordon Ramsay claimed my last video.
He didn't, really?
He did, he claimed the video.
What?
Why?
Because I
Your channel
reacted...
trailer?
Not my channel trailer. So basically I did a video and I was reacting to the top trending things on YouTube.
Oh,
and
right.
I put a video, like, maybe 20 seconds of Gordon Ramsay's video and I reacted to it. And he claimed my video. So he took all my money. So if you want to subscribe and help me out with that, that'd be great.
Well, yeah, actually, and I'll plug myself.
Yeah, plug yourself.
Aimee Sign 97, only because I do behind the scenes of all our Roehampton Play shows.
I'm going to do one for Backstage as well.
Yeah, so I've done Judgment Day, I did 13, 191 Days, so we're going to do a Backstage one as well. So go over there and you can see what we do behind the scenes of Play shows.
I'm going to make a trailer for the show as well.
Alright, add that to your list.
Go on in, add it to the list of things to do. Fair enough. Finally, guys, thank you ever so much for coming on to this mini episode special.
Thank you for having us, Stephen.
No, it's
Can
been...
I sign out like Jack?
Go on then.
Oh, no.
Go for it.
Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. There's only one thing left to say.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no. Can't put that in.
He's gone.
He's off with that. See you on Thursday for directing. Woo! He's back.
Can't say that.
Oh my God.